Hello, I'm the Angry Spork, taking issue with Ninja Turtles / Ghostbusters. Previously, a slight mishap dropped the Shellbacks and their human allies, April and Casey, in a world of ghosts and the scientists who bust them. Unfortunately, not only are they on kind of a timetable to return to their home dimension, they accidentally released the spirit of an immortal warlord, who possessed Casey to raise an army and conquer the world. He's from a few centuries ago, so he doesn't know how played out that plan is for a villain out of time. Issue 3's cover has our heroes surround Jones, with Shio's energy swirling around and through him. This is what happens when you hire someone from Craigslist for a discount seance. Since Ecto-1 is too small for all 8 of them, the Ghostbusters and Turtles are heading to the disturbance at Madison Square Garden in a van. Man, I so want one of these! We could get a full kitchen in here easy!
And living in a van down by the river!
Pfft, you're getting almost as bad as Donnie. What are you guys gonna want next, a blimp? Well, let's face it, the turtle dirigible just doesn't sound as catchy. Once they arrive, Proton Packin' Donatello is the first one out of the van and into the stadium, excited to see just how good bustin' makes one feel. When he sees Shio and even more transformed slaves, he fires, but didn't expect the kickback from the wand, missing his target. The others catch up, with Venkman advising him to have a firm stance, treat it less like a gun and more like a violent hose. And of course, don't cross the streams. Something he could have been told on the trip over, if you ask me. Their opponent is slower than before, and having seen him transform a civilian into one of the creatures, which we didn't exactly see them see, but whatever, Leo reasons that changing people depletes him, something they may be able to exploit. Good thing you're saying this out loud in his vicinity, so he won't be at all surprised by your attempts to catch him with his ethereal pants down. Shio doesn't plan on getting caught in the fire of their proton blasts, but that's fine. It was largely so Winston could get a drop on him and open a ghost trap. The man-cow ghost gets drawn in, but not as quickly as he should, Ray and Donnie realizing he's tethered to his army, anchoring him. Casey gets Zetamore in a headlock, passing along some important info thanks to his mind link to the enemy. They can't stop Shio until all his minions are taken out. Regrettably unable to control himself, Jones clobbers the Ghostbuster and shuts off the trap, allowing his puppeteer to escape with his thrall.
When next you see me, you will regret it. I'll be wearing nothing but an open robe and a t-shirt that's 2 sizes too small. That's what you get for trying to catch me on laundry day.
Most of the ghosts they face don't have this kind of connection to those they possess, so they return to the firehouse to talk strategy over pizza. Don suggests using low-voltage proton pulses instead of a stream, which Egon and Ray think might free the enslaved. While Donnie draws up his idea for a delivery system, it's best for the others to get some sleep, while Egon runs through any variables, since he apparently doesn't snooze all that much. Meanwhile, in Chinatown, Shio is in a Buddhist temple, knocking Casey around for his perpetual defiance of control, infuriating the ghost, which he realizes was the point. The vigilante admits that, thanks to their link, he knows the angrier the spirit gets, the stupider he gets. In retaliation, Shio goes bovine and eats Casey. Sweet, merciful taco gerbils! Troy McClure was right!
If a cow ever got the chance, he'd eat you and everyone you care about.
The next morning, a new case is called in for Chinatown, and fortunately just in time for the new PAX, with a hand attachment that needs to contact the target's chest in order to sever the spectral tether. Leo gets his leader on, saying April and the nerds should hang back, work on the portal device, while the others head out to look for Casey. And much to his delight, Mikey gets to work Ecto-1's siren. They soon find their target stomping through the street and try the grab the bull by the horn techniques, but with proton streams. Not as effective as one would hope. Casey is nowhere in sight, and Raphael uses the proton taser, if you will, on Shio, regardless of its intended purpose. He's kicked away, and Winston advises that the best thing to do to help his friend is to focus on the encroaching thralls, not to improvise with their gear. Yeah, you shouldn't improvise. Who do you think you are? Colin Mockery? Earth's mightiest Canadian? While the minions are more skilled than expected, Michelangelo does manage to get the first zap in, successfully reverting one back to human. Seeing and probably sensing this, Shio tells the rest of them to take off, while he knocks the Ghostbusters down with a stomp, then coughs up a new opponent to stop his foes. Casey Jones, decked out in new battle armor. And that's how he got the nickname Ghost Loogie. Since none of these turtles have the know-how to jump to other worlds, Shi-Yo orders Jones to kill them. And he didn't just get new duds, but also grew about 10 feet.
We have met the enemy, and he is big.
Raph tries to get through to him, but it doesn't seem to work, as he gets an elbow to the, well, everything. Guy's huge now. While this one-sided fight goes on, Peter had himself an idea.
We fall back on Plan B.
What's Plan B?
That's the one where we do something that isn't stupid.
And grabbed what I'm assuming is a proton bazooka. Dear Santa, I've been ever so good this year. Sure, it's only March, but still. A direct hit on his puppeteer distracts Casey enough that he seems much smaller now. Maybe he's able to alter his size, but more importantly, Raph can hit him with a proton pulse, returning him to normal. Venkman didn't lead with the oversized pea shooter because it'll just dissipate Shi-Yo's form temporarily, meaning he'll eventually come back together. For now, they need to get to work getting Team Green back home. Later at the firehouse, Egon has given Casey a clean bill of health, but still needing rest. The young man apologizes for kicking Raph's tail, even if he wasn't in control, and the turtle is just glad he's okay, but denies losing their fight. What did Casey say, Raph? You were right there at the foot of his bed! They weren't whispering or anything. Did April put on Egon's prototype for ghost headphones and go deaf or something? They catch up with the others on a pizza break, the turtles promising to deal with the rest of the thralls, even though they have their hockey-masked pal back, because they still have some responsibility having brought Shi-Yo into this reality. Donnie has an idea for an EMP-like device to take out the minions all at once, which Egon suggests is dealt with by Ray and April, the latter of whom showed an aptitude for electronics earlier. Off-panel, I suppose. As they begin working as one big happy team, Shi-Yo regains his form, not particularly caring for defeat, and decides that he can't ignore the Ghostbusters or the mutants any longer. As his thrall gathers around, he declares it's time they went to war. That brings us to the final chapter, with the cover featuring both teams attacking the would-be conqueror in his animal form. Man, this cover is a whole lot of bull. Hey, come on! I needed to get at least one more out there. In the hours since their last fight, both the teleporter and EMP are coming along rather nicely. Winston is admiring Leo's katana, and Michelangelo just had to try on a Ghostbuster jumpsuit. He may as well keep it. Guy lives in a sewer. The amount of bleach to sanitize that thing would basically make it unwearable anyway. The proximity alarm sounds, which sounds an awful lot like the alarm they use when they get a case, and both Leonardo and Zetamore figure Shi-Yo has taken the fight to them. With the thrall beginning to swarm the station, safe to say he probably plucked the info from their minds. When they bust in, Janine lives up to the intro pages saying she is not to be messed with because she's got an arm-mounted proton wand on each arm as she blasts one back. Nice! Equipped with the proton defibrillators, the turtles try to even the odds until the EMP is ready. Start zapping these guys! What do you think we're trying to do here? Dance? Well, it would explain that pirouette you keep doing. After Raph gets in a quick explainer on how powerful a Class 7 manifestation is, the EMP team is finished putting their new toy together. It's calibrated, plugged in, and the room goes dark. April suspects a blown fuse, but apparently the firehouse has special wiring that should make that impossible, because ghost science. No, it's the arrival of Shi-Yo, who restrains the three in the air, saying they don't have the honor to be made his slaves. Though before he can choose another horrible fate, Casey Jones has woken from his nap and has a question.
What does this button do?
He activates the EMP, encompassing the premises and freeing the enslaved, reverting them to normal. Unfortunately, it also shorted out all the crystal balls in a 3-mile radius. In the basement, Egon and Donnie have an unexpected problem while building the new teleporter. Something has destabilized the containment unit's grid, and if not fixed, there will be a nasty explosion.
Don't take this the wrong way, but in 50 seconds, we die.
Shi-Yo has the ghostly wind knocked out of him, deciding to possess his enemies anyway and make them kill each other, but he finds that power is somehow gone. He interrupts Ray, calling for help, throwing him across the room, but fortunately Peter and Winston snag him in proton streams. Unfortunately, they didn't coordinate that well, getting wedged in the doorframe and unable to go for the trap lest they crossed the streams. Good thing Leo's right behind them, able to grab the trap and throw it between their heads. When one with proper training takes aim, a 6-inch gap might as well be a mile. Which is the same logic that got him a C- on his geometry final. Shio, struggling, pulls Winston in, forcing Leo to close the trap. We return to the basement, Egon explaining he goofed on how much power the dimensional gate would take from the containment unit.
Oh, I forgot to carry the wad.
And there's little time before they end up losing parts that they won't be able to replace before the 72 hours of phase degradation is up, stranding the turtles and their friends. As soon as you can, grab the tool that looks like a medieval torture device. You mean the treadmill? Oh, I get it. You guys run on it to generate the power that'll send us back. Good thinking. Shio has directly possessed Winston. And excellent touch having the villain's shadow behind the Ghostbusters.
Now this is a warrior's body, a body that has faced gods, a body worthy of a conqueror.
I know he's an evil, power-hungry despot, but what a compliment for both the Ghostbusters and the U.S. Marines. Ray tries hurling some goop at him, but Shio dodges and kicks him in the face. He not only morphs into a minotaur-like form, but also transforms the proton wand into an axe with an energy blade, which is insanely cool. Michelangelo tells him he hasn't got a chance of killing them, but Ghost Cow adds insult to injury as he decks him.
Optimism is an embarrassing trait for a ninja.
Buddy, you're lucky Naruto Uzumaki isn't here. He'd spend 200 episodes waiting out this fight before showing up at the last minute with a flashy new technique and yelling, "Believe it!" Kylie will tend to the unconscious Ray, telling April to help the turtles who have gathered to face Shio. Not exactly what she expects her to do, since she has no experience with the gear and isn't a version of April with much fighting prowess. Is Kylie trying to get her killed for some reason? Anyway, Peter tells Mikey the substance Stan threw earlier was mood slime, concentrated good vibes, which they use against direct possessions. He tells them there's a tank of the stuff in the back of the car, and just as he's asking if the chucker can get to it unseen, Michelangelo is already gone. Ninjas. Creepy. Oh yeah? As creepy as Ace McCloud? Shio has little trouble with Raph and Leo, threatening to turn them into Guilingao, which is a real jelly dessert made from powdered turtle shells. Oof, that might top Shredder's turtle soup threat. Mikey appears with the slime, managing to douse the villain and starts separating him from Zetamore. The Warlord ain't giving up just yet, so with some effective misdirection, Leonardo and Raphael manage to use the hand zappers to pull them apart. Venkman opens the trap, and the bovine is finally boxed. He compliments the turtles on their good work, and jokes that if they can't make it back home, they could find a place in this New York. The whole masks and ninja thing? We could merchandise the hell out of that. The kids would love it.
Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made.
The Shellbacks decline, but there's nothing stopping them from using that idea in their own reality, especially if they can land the same licensing deals Playmates managed in the real world. Eventually, it's time to say goodbye, Janine hugging April because I guess that one talk they had created quite the bond, and Winston giving his Marine Corps patches to Leonardo. He'd kept them around for good luck, and decided to pass it on to the ninja, along with a salute and an oorah. Leo accepts, saying it's been an honor meeting him. They're welcome back any time, but time is exactly what's a-wastin', so they step through the portal and pop back up in the lair as originally planned. Splinter commends them on entering without him hearing it, I guess not noticing the sci-fi energy they're surrounded by, and a group hug ensues. I did not think my praise was so rare a treat as to deserve quite this response. Though usually I just don't hit you as hard with the yardstick. Winston doesn't want Shio anywhere near him, so rather than putting him in the containment unit, he has Egon open a portal to deep space, which is something this can do apparently, and tosses the trap through. Now that's what I call having a beef with someone. Hey, I had one more. It's apparently in the Turtles dimension because Shi-Yo can sense his family from inside, even from over 4 light years from Earth. Narration tells us he'll find a way back at some point. After all, he's immortal, so he knows how to be patient. That was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles / Ghostbusters, and it was a delight through and through. What criticisms I have are few and mostly pardonable. The art style for the Busters universe can sometimes lend itself to wacky proportions, like Winston's barely existent forehead, so it won't be everyone's cup of tea. While it might not be my go-to, stylistically it's still pretty good, unique, and really works for this world they've built. There are moments where it tells us of something happening off-panel, or in between the gutters from a couple pages back, like April's proficiency with electronics, or Leo and Raph handling the thralls, who were told to vamoose while armored Casey fought Raph. Dabbles of exposition to explain stuff that maybe they didn't have enough page space for. The one detail that stuck out to me was Donatello's skepticism about ghosts. Early on in the continuity this crosses with, Donnie was not particularly keen on believing anything supernatural. He was totally empirical about how he and his family came to be. Though, as indicated by his dialogue as they're about to return home, he has accepted reincarnation as a reality, because their previous lives as a Japanese family is part of this continuity's origins. It took some time, but he did eventually acknowledge something beyond his scientific perceptions as fact. It was legitimately great how he and Egon disagreed, and how Ray was more diplomatic in opening him up to extraordinary ideas. But I also think it's peculiar how the turtle is okay with one supernatural phenomena, but not another. If he didn't believe in ghosts or spirits or whatever, what did he think was involved in being reincarnated? Or did he just not buy that souls could be roaming around beyond typical human and turtle perception? The threat of their dimensional signals degrading is similar to the first Batman Ninja Turtles crossover I looked at a while back, where they were going to revert to their non-mutated forms the longer they stayed in the DCU. I criticized that as not playing a huge factor in the story, which I stand by. Leo gets a tummy ache, but is still able to fight Ra's al Ghul no less effectively than his brothers regardless. In this story's case, it may not have been endlessly repeated or thrown in the reader's face, but I would argue it may have played a larger factor by comparison. Because Donnie and Spengler have to hurry along with the new portal, the others are essentially down 2 bodies in the big fight. Further, trying to get a new kind of technology up and running in under 3 days may have contributed to Egon's miscalculations, giving them another obstacle or 3 to overcome. Not that I thought there was any real danger of Team Turtles ending up stuck in either the firehouse or eternal limbo, but I do think this series handled the ticking clock dilemma a bit better. The passage of time between dimensions seems very unclear, since the Turtles, April, and Casey all appear in the lair after 2 or 3 days with the Ghostbusters, yet Splinter doesn't seem to have moved since issue 1, much less mention them all disappearing without a word for an extended period. Despite all that, the characters all had great interactions, whether it was finding out how simpatico they were with each other, disagreeing on something, or even Venkman taking Raphael's jabs in stride. Everyone was written well, each with dialogue that felt fitting for their iterations, to the point that I heard Dan Aykroyd's excited voice in my head when I read Ray's dialogue. Shi-Yo was a pretty good villain, powerful while facing a learning curve with this new state of being, threatening despite his inexperience. And I enjoyed how Casey, who knew his anger-based recklessness, was the one to deal him that massive hit with the EMP. The art has great use of colors and lights, as well as cool and unique designs. If you dig Easter eggs, this is full of them, from references to cartoons, to some imagery of each franchise's video games, and even the Twinkie, which in context makes me wonder if Egon was eating it while explaining, or he found a partially eaten pastry in his locker. Do you want ghost ants? Because that's how you get ghost ants! This series has an immense treat to fans of the Ghostbusters, the Turtles, or both. Neither title's continuity is hurt by it, nor proves a barrier to someone who hadn't collected either one. I definitely recommend checking it out. Next week, another unexpected pairing of nostalgia, so let me just say, Autobots, saddle up! I'm the Angry Spork, and man, have I got issues.